We're at High Star Farms right now. This is the very first large-scale legal cultivation site in Santa Barbara County. It's 40,000 acres. It's gonna be both indoors and outdoors. Nothing's in the ground yet, but I mean, this place is huge. This is a great place to cultivate too, because the ocean's about 4 miles away. So you get a nice misty ocean air, obviously beautiful California sunshine. And at one time this was a horse ranch. To my left, you'll see a horse track, which is going to be a large outdoor field. Nice. The all-purpose cultivator's tool. You gotta get one of these. It's cracking. It's Browne, FRANK151. I'm here with Mr. York Shackleton. What's up, York?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm great, man. It's a pleasure to see your farm. This place is beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
So what are your plans for
new spot?
This place?
We're gonna blow this place up. It's gonna be Santa Barbara's first permanently licensed cannabis farm.
Hell yeah.
So we're doing about 50 acres of outdoor cannabis with about 2 acres of indoor cultivation.
Nice.
Yeah, full processing and distribution.
You doing any extraction at all?
Yeah, we're gonna do extractions. We'll be doing more of extractions for creams and edibles and stuff like that.
We're not,
yeah, we're not really into the whole.
And do you have a brand for your flower yet?
We do have one brand right now we're working on. It's called County Line.
County Line?
Yeah, it's a cool brand because we're doing basically like, you know those cans that snuff comes in, like chewing tobacco?
Yeah.
So we're just doing pre-ground up cannabis for the consumer so he can roll his own joints. But it's all high end and it's for the everyday construction
I just
worker,
tried your outdoor, man.
You know?
That shit was fire. So, you know, I'm sure it's very high end.
Yeah, but we keep our quality good. You know, we're not putting a lot of leaf and stuff in there. You know, we just stick to all the really good choice flowers.
And what was it like? I mean, obtaining this permit in Santa Barbara County. I mean, the place is so conservative.
Yeah, it's tough. It's not that they're conservatives. It's just there's a lot of money in this community, you know, and so with that comes a lot of people, a lot of homeowners, a lot of say, a lot of opinions. You know? So we deal with an enormous amount of misconceptions about the cannabis industry. There's still so many people who think that, you know, it's clouded in darkness and there's, you know, the black market and all this underworld. So there's an enormous amount of that you have to kind of get over. There's you know, in a sense, lobbying where, you know, you have to go out and basically show these people who you are, you know, and invite them into your property. So we had law enforcement come by and they're going through everything with a fine-tooth comb. It's a weird experience, you know. Because at one point you don't really know, are they with me or are they against me? You don't know. You know, they're looking at your stuff and you're thinking, is this guy in the back of his head wanting to take me out? You know?
Cuff you up real quick?
Yeah, or is he like, you know, excited about seeing this new business emerging and being a part of it, you know? And so I can see it's happening both ways for people. It's kind of like you're either looked at as a good guy or you're looked at as a bad guy.
And do you feel like acceptance is growing as far as cannabis in general in here in America? Or
I think for sure. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially older people who grew up in an era where cannabis was looked at as, you know, a bad gateway drug and this and that, they had that planted in them for so long that it was very difficult to see anything else. But as it continues to get more and more legal and more people do it and talk about all the positive aspects of it, I see a lot of older people beginning to try it, beginning to want to even begin to grow it and show a lot of interest in the plant itself. People who 2 years ago might have, you know, really condemned you for being somebody who, you know, smokes weed, you know?
Yeah, I mean, few people still know anything about the endocannabinoid system. You know, I mean, it's as vital to your body as the autoimmune system. It's just responsible for tissue repair rather than protein attack. You know, I mean, I feel like the medical possibilities for cannabis and, you know, cannabis-related products are almost endless. And I don't think we've even touched the tip of the iceberg.
For sure.
What do you think about that?
That's one of those sad things about cannabis being illegal for so long is there was so much missed time of experimentation and really getting to the bottom of all of these things. So that's what's exciting now is to see that all these new products and all these new usage for this plant is going to come alive as people can begin to experiment with freedom. You know, when you're growing and you don't really know if you're allowed to do it or not, you're making decisions based on that. So now that we can make our decisions based on, you know, completely being legal and above board, I think a lot of stuff that's going to come from the medical sides of it are going to be really exciting and new and stuff that you've never seen before.
Of course, yeah, exactly. I agree. So, I mean, here you have 3 indoors, and then how many acres outdoors?
We'll do 40 acres of outdoor.
How many plants is it going to be roughly?
You know, it varies. Everyone does it differently. So we'll plant every 5 feet on center. So, you know, we plant somewhere between 17,000 to 20,000 plants for every 10 acres.
How many strains do you do?
Up until now, we were only doing just a couple really top genetics, but because of the change in the market and the ability for distribution now only through licensed stores, we're doing a lot more strains. So this year we'll be doing somewhere closer to like 30 strains so that I can fulfill more shelf space in each store.
Right.
Yeah.
Growing outdoor weed that has the similar potency to an indoor weed isn't easy, but it's possible.
No, definitely. I think even you might even be able to produce, just because it's the application for growing it is the prime environment. You know, it wants the sun. So once you're indoors and you're on lights, you've taken away really its main source of growth.
Yeah.
So if you think about it growing in its natural environment, you probably can produce something even better than you can do indoors.
I absolutely
because
agree.
so much of it is in the genetic.
Right.
We know that. So if you've got the right genetic, then, you know, don't fuck it up.
Exactly.
You know, and if you're just letting it grow in nature and doing its thing, then it brings you to the curing process. And I think the curing process is where you really make or break yourself as a grower and someone who can create a product that, you know, you can smoke and have these experiences with it.
And proper texture. Yeah, you're 100% right.
And it's also it's consistent and it's sustainable on the shelf, so it's something that can sit there and stay in that environment for you for a real long time.
Very nice.
The way we cure it.
And how do you cure it? I mean, you must use like huge rooms. How do you cure it?
Yeah, we've got 2 large buildings over there by the indoor rooms that are specifically designed just for cultivation. Just for curing.
You use fans in there?
So we have intake, we have exhaust, we have dehumidifiers, humidifiers, basically set up in a way where I can control the environment no matter what's happening outdoors. So we'll ultimately have about 40 acres of outdoor cultivation with another 10 acres of greenhouses, and then we've got 3 large buildings that equal about 1.5 acres.
And
what are we doing?
2 questions. I mean, how many employees do you need for something like that? And 2, how much water do you need for something to do that?
A lot of people think you use massive amounts of water with cannabis, and that's the one thing about it that I'm always trying to convince people of is I use a very minimum amount of water. So we're very specific about where the water goes and what we use. You know, traditional farming, they're going to flood a field, right? And a lot of that's wasted. It's just going wherever. Whereas I'm going to put 5 gallons of water into a small area in the field that's surrounding that plant, and I'm going to put that in maybe once every other day, only in the hot months. So you're talking about a very minimum amount of water usage because we're very specific and analytical about how we're injecting it in.
I think that's a very good approach.
Yeah.
And for your indoor, what kind of lights are you using?
I'm old school. I've been doing this for a long time, so, you know, I'm open to... I think what makes a grower, where they use this term master grower a lot, you hear them saying this, and I know it's so silly, right? Everybody's like, oh, master grower, and I'm like, well, what does that even mean? You know, like...
I grow the bomb.
What makes a good grower is somebody who knows why they're doing what they're doing, not what they're doing. Like, you know, I can teach someone to do this week 1, do this week 2, you know, put this in. But unless you know why you're doing that and what the plant's actually doing, I think that you don't really know much about the process. Right. And so that's where all the decisions.
So you're still on HPS? Are you using Kavitas? You're using
So I use the old Sun System big solar circles.
Really?
Yeah, those big ones.
Because the same ones from the crib.
Yeah. I like using those ones because they give me the spread that I look for with the way I lay my rooms out. But every situation would be different, you know.
Do you ever use any metal halide? Do you ever?
No, I don't. I veg under HPSs as well.
Oh yeah.
On a large scale, things start to change because you're not looking at every single individual plant as like maximizing as much as I can out of this one plant. Like when you've got a small light or a small 10 light room in your garage, it's like you can't lose one plant because that's a big percentage of your yield. Whereas for us, we were throwing so many plants at the problem that we're not really looking at how to make sure every single plant is perfect, but getting 90% of this very large scale grow to be above the bar that most people have set for that kind of cultivation.
Excellent. And what's your personal favorite strain? I mean, what do you have one?
I've smoked cannabis my whole life, and I can tell you that there's been only a few strains that have come along that when I smoked them, I was like, wow, I really like that one. That works well for me. One of them was, I mean, obviously besides like, you know, the Pure Kush, which is, you know, I think the one everyone really loves, us Valley boys, you know, it's like came from the Valley.
SFV?
Yeah, like, you know, that kind of OG, obviously I can smoke anytime, but back in the day there was Shishka Berry, and it was like this sativa strain, and I don't know why, but I just couldn't smoke enough of it. It's just the smell, I guess maybe the way the guy cured it was so good. And I think Bubba Kush is one of the best tasting and smelling canvases that I've ever smoked. And I love the way that it looks and just the whole overall makeup of that plant.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure. You using seed or clones?
No, we do everything from clones. Yeah, I haven't used seeds in a really long time. We actually have some genetics that we've had going for about 15 years that have only existed in seed one time back in 15 years ago.
So I think the branding of new strains is becoming more and more part of the industry.
For sure. I think you're gonna have a lot of demographics though. I think you're gonna have, there's just the whole middle-aged, you know, everyday construction worker, middle America guy, right? That's like the largest demographic. And these are guys who are out, you know, building our communities, and they're drinking a 6-pack of beer with their buddies.
You got the little tin of their
and they got their little tin of cannabis on them, and they roll their joint, and that's, I think, you know, the people that we're marketing to and looking towards, you know,
the everyman vision.
Yeah, because you know, I love grassroots so much, and I really, you know, respect the youth and you know, their energy and you know, choosing something that they enjoy and really getting behind it. But I think that strength of business and your business model depends on, you know, if you've got really strong product and you can market that and distribute it to a very large demographic. You know, and the ones that spend the money.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't think you're going to have any problems.
Let's hope, man. Keep our fingers crossed.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
All right, come back, see us. Dude, I'm a skater turned farmer. For sure, man. I skated, snowboarded, you know, for years.
Nice.
Up until I was like almost 30.
Nice. Yeah. You made a movie called Kush.
Yeah, Kush was one of the first movies I ever made, actually. It was all based on like young, rich white kids selling weed, you know, in the Valley back in the 90s. A lack of guidance from their parents.
How many films have you made?
I've done 9 features now. 9 features. It all started back, you know, in the day when I was snowboarding. And I was doing a lot of stunts and you know, had agents and doing commercials and stuff like that. And I wasn't really into it, but when I got out of snowboarding, I didn't really have a lot to do, and that's kind of the area where I was making money, and I just kind of progressed into that side of it.
What do you enjoy more, farming or directing?
It's tough. I do them both. You know, I'm here half the year. I'm away on location half the year, and when I'm here, I want to be making a movie, and when I'm making a movie, I want to be farming. So you know, I'm never happy. I always want to be doing something new.
Everybody know that they kill it.